Okay, the time being 6:30, I'd like to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the traditional territory acknowledgement, followed by a moment of silence. Council of the Township of Red Rock hereby acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Robinson Superior Treaty and that the land we gather on is home to the Red Rock Indian Band, Anishinaabe, and Métis people. Administration advises that there is one addition to the agenda under the Community Development Officer's Report relating to a letter of recommendation from TBT Engineering. Do any members of council wish to make the amendments? That was last one? Oh, okay. So there's no amendments? Okay. Can I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the agenda approve the agenda? Councillor Smith, Councillor Brand, all in favor? Motion's carried. Are there any declarations of interest to disclose? None. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the closed session portion of the meeting. May I have a mover and seconder to go into closed session under the authorities as printed in the agenda? Councillor Mayor, Councillor No. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, rising from closed session, council approved the minutes from the closed session meeting of October 22nd, 2024. Council discussed legal matters and employee negotiations in closed session. So tonight we have Shannon Cormier here, the CEO of the Nipigon Hospital, here to discuss the hospital's long-term care expansion project. So welcome, Shannon. So just with your mic, yep, when you see the red light.
Talk. All right. So thank you everyone again for the opportunity to come and chat with you. As you were saying, my name is Shannon Cormier, the CEO of the Nipigon District Memorial Hospital. I just wanted, the intention for tonight was just to come and to meet everybody in person and to also share a little bit of an update on some of the work that we've been doing around the long-term care expansion project and kind of where we're at. The original application that was submitted quite a while ago was for 30 beds originally. That proposal hasn't been really gaining very much traction. So when the new leadership team of the hospital came on, we went back to the ministries, got some feedback from them, did some reevaluation of updated demographics of our area, and just did a whole reconsideration of the project. We ended up landing on a 21-bed expansion. It fits with the capacity, it fits with the land base that we have. And we got approval on October 7th from the ministry to go ahead with that project. Now, that's not to say we still have a lot of work to do, if you can imagine, to actually actualize this becoming real. Part of that process is being able to access a construction subsidy top-up, and it's been extended. It was available in previous years, and it's been extended for this fiscal, but at the end of this year, it may disappear and go away. Without that top-up, the sustainability financially for this expansion drastically decreases. And so we really are pushing towards accessing that subsidy. We have, if the current timelines for that subsidy, everything would be due this week actually, November 8th, this week. We're not going to meet it. Part of the challenge that we've been having is just access to contractors, access to special tradespeople and things like that. We found out there's a ravine that runs underneath the hospital, which may impact the ground quality for building, which at the end of the day, you can build on anything if you have the money. So we've been kind of waiting on hearing back from that as to not if we can build there, but how much it's going to cost to build there. Our board has courageously chosen to continue moving forward still as we wait for that ground quality in order to hopefully be able to access that subsidy. We have requested an extension with the ministry for those timelines so that we can still be eligible for the subsidy. We haven't heard back from them either. But regardless, we're pushing forward on the new timeline that we've suggested, which would actually put shovels in ground by April, depending on seasonal conditions if we're not buried in snow. But that's essentially the goal that we're moving towards. Now, I'm sure that you're all aware of some of the benefits that a long-term care project like this would bring to our catchment area. You know, there'll be job creation. There's the acute care capacity because we have folks in the acute care side of the hospital waiting for long-term care beds. Our wait list is about 2.5 years. There's about 42 people sitting on the wait list. So this would help reduce the wait list by about 50%-ish, close to it. If we have folks waiting in their houses in order to get into long-term care, it might help free up some housing for the communities across the catchment area. And it's just an opportunity for folks to stay home in our area, closer to home, closer to family as well. So, you know, this is not a one organization commitment. We are looking at needing to raise 10% of about approximately, depending on the ground, about a $14 million project. We have to raise about 10% of that. So always looking for some support, suggestions, input on any ideas of how we can, as a catchment area, help raise some of that funding or some of that fundraising for that portion of it. Other ways that it would be really helpful to access some support is just support letters from the township. One, to support our request for the extension for the construction subsidy, the extension for those timelines. Other support letters for any kind of grants, looking out for possible grants that we can maybe potentially apply collaboratively with. Also highlighting anything in your strategic plan that might align with and support this kind of project, because in part of some of the grants that we're applying for, we have to prove that there's an alignment with our municipalities' strategic plans and how they kind of support each other in that way. So housing, for example, is one of those things that might be an alignment. Other is just you know, any kind of in-kind services or resources that could be shared. And I think that's about it. Any ideas? I'm open because it's a big, big project. Yeah. So I know that you have a full agenda. I just wanted to just give I provided further information in the briefing note that you'll have access to. But if you have any other questions, any suggestions, if not tonight, then, and if you think of some later, I'm a processor, I need more time to think. By all means, I invite you to reach out, and I'm always open to ideas and suggestions. So any questions?
Councillor Muir?
Hi, Shannon, just a question, is the design, mechanical and structural and architectural drawings are all complete?
We're working on the working drawings right now. So it's with the architects, it's with the engineers and all of those things. But the preliminary design,
yeah,
and the concept of it has been approved.
Okay, which firm is doing the design?
A49 or Architecture 49.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I believe this council is in full support of helping the hospital or helping the board as much as we can. So any letters of support, please always reach out to Mark and he will bring that to us or can do that on our behalf. But yeah, anything we can do, always reach out and we're free anytime.
Yeah.
If you need any support or any other information, we'd be
Amazing.
glad to help.
Thank you so much. And if there's, like I said, if there's any questions or you think of any ideas, or you'd like to be involved in the process as we move forward, by all means, just reach out. My door is always open.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Suzanne Kuko from Superior Country to present the 2024 cruise ship. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Yes. Oh, it's hard to get used to the dark out there. I feel like I should be in bed, but yeah. So yeah, thanks for having me tonight and having the report as part of your package for this evening. I know that we have a lot of background information that most of you are aware of, but you do have a relatively new counselor. So I'm just going to go through some of the highlights. So the background, really quickly, we Superior Country got funding from Parks Canada back in 2022 to do a North Shore cruise ship market readiness plan, and that was done in December 2022. And the plan did recommend that Superior Country take on the role of being the coordinator, the promoter and the coordinator of cruise ship visits for the North Shore. And so we started work, we accepted that role and we started work. The first thing that we did was we recommended that the communities and the, I guess, attractions such as Battle Island get their ISPS status through Transport Canada. And that's the starting point because you can't accept any international cruise ships until you get that. So which Red Rock got pretty quick right away, which is great. So then, and in July of 2022 as well, so sort of as we were doing that plan, we had a familiarization tour coming through. And one of the locations was Red Rock. And yeah, so that went really well. And Ashley Davis did help with that one as well. We helped the the Great Lakes Cruise Association organize that and everything. And then we assisted as did the Ashley with that one as well. So yeah, and so I took biking on a tour at around the same time. And then last year, as you guys probably know, we had 2 cruise lines, Viking and Hapag-Lloyd, coming to Battle Island. Those were the only 2 cruise lines we had. So that was a total of 5 visits. And there were 550 guests plus crew visiting that island. And then for that season, there was an economic impact to Battle Island of about Battle Island and others, $26,000, which included a $4,000 grant that Friends of Battle Island got to sort of extend their dock a little bit to accept larger tenders. They also got a grant of $85,000 from the province. And the reason I bring that up, it's just, this is sort of the snowball of the economic impact that can happen with cruise ships because they put in their grant application, these cruise people are coming, it's important that we have better infrastructure, and that's how they got the grant. So having this data that I'm giving you is really helpful if you're trying to get some tourism grants as well. And Ashley should be aware of that. So this report that we have is just talking about the 2024 season. I know many of you were down at the waterfront when the ships came in, and it was super exciting, but we just wanted to let you guys also know what went into having that happen and then what we're looking at for next year. So in 2024, we welcomed to Red Rock. Let me see here. I don't want to bore you with too many of these details that you don't need to know. Okay, so in 2024, starting in about February, our staff spent about 160 hours working with partners, operators, Shorex managers, contacting businesses, individuals, pricing out service and products. There's forms that have to be filled out from the cruise ships. They're called Shorex forms with all the details. There's a lot that sort of goes into the preparation, and particularly it was a busy year because we've never welcomed mainland visits before. So last year it was a good, 2023 was a good starting point because it was all focused on one area and there was no land transportation or anything like that. So it was a lot less complicated. So that was a good way to get our feet wet. But it was a lot more complicated this year. So it was a lot of preparation to get everything going. So also, as you guys know, there were some last minute. There's always last minute requests, but there was actually a last minute request for an entire cruise ship to come and visit twice in Terrace Bay and once in Red Rock. So from the time we found out about that, we had 2 days to get Terrace Bay ready, and then we had a whole week to get Red Rock ready, which it was very good. But this is the kind of stuff that that we're dealing with. It's all fun and it's all good, but it's just thought you guys want to be aware of that. So despite 2 of our Battle Island excursions being canceled this year, one was for inclement weather. That was that big storm that happened at the end of the season there. And then the other one was a bunch of their tenders broke down, so they couldn't spare any to bring to Battle Island. So despite that, so we would have had more guests, but there was 1,131 unique guests who disembarked in Red Rock, Rossport, Terrace Bay, and Battle Island. And 293 of those were in Red Rock. And in addition, 125 guests attended an onboard presentation that we coordinated as well. So in total, 1,256 guests were part of the North Shore experience as opposed to 550 last year. So there was some pretty good growth there. And so I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this too, but Superior Country also takes care of the invoicing of the ships. And it can be a bit of a nightmare because you're dealing with a German company, a French company, and an American company, and there's different like language barriers and stuff like that. So and different terms for different things, different types of accounts. So we take care of all of that, and we just pay out directly the invoices that we get. So I'm not going to go through all this whole chart here that you guys have of all of the different visits, but we just thought we'd break them down to show you all the different cruise lines and the numbers of people. As you can see, the Ponant cruise ships had a lot less people on them. I'm hoping they come back next year, but I don't know if I'm super confident about it, just because I don't know if it's worth it for them. Like if they can't attract the people to come to the North Shore, they don't get higher numbers. I just don't see it being worth it for them. But Viking and Hapag Lloyd, they had the numbers. They had like 280 to 300 people on their ship, so it's a little more worth it for them to come up. Okay, so the economic impact. So we do get, I know that the ships did come to Red Rock, but we do get a lot of questions from people from other communities asking, when are they going to come to our community and what's happening with our community? And I just wanted to let everybody know that we did make a conscious effort to spread the wealth out to the different communities, even the ones that weren't getting the cruise ships. So whether that was, hiring entertainers from a certain place or ordering from a bakery or getting some groceries, we made sure that all of the communities benefited, even if it was just for a little bit. And the economic impact for this year was $95,000. Actually, it's $99,000 if you add the $4,000 that Battle Island got for their grant, because they did get it this year, but I just added it on to the previous year. So it's not too bad. I think I worked it out. I think it was like $14, $15 a person or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's not bad. It's better than zero, right? Which is what we got 2 years ago. So it's growing, which is great. And that doesn't include that's just the trackable stuff that goes like through Superior Country. So we obviously don't track. We didn't go to the log driver cafe and ask her what her sales were on the day that the last cruise ship came in, but we observed that, well, she was open, but there was also lots of business going through there. She's pretty busy through there. So that it doesn't include that type of economic impact. So it's probably quite a bit more. We're talking about sales at the Parks Canada gift shop, sales here, sales with the vendors that were here on that last day especially. So it's pretty substantial. We had some really great media exposure. We had some articles in the Chronicle Journal as well as the Gazette. And Dan, our executive director, did some interviews on CFNO radio and TVT News as well. So it's really brought our region's profile up quite a bit with the cruise ships. We did have some challenges, and like I said earlier in the report, this is our first time welcoming people onto the mainland and welcoming people into all the different communities. So of course there were lots of lessons to be learned. I'm not going to go through everything in detail. You guys hopefully read the report, but I did meet with Ashley and we talked because she was on the ground the whole time pretty much. And so we talked about the different challenges that we went through. There's the communication with the cruise ship, which there's not a lot that can be done about that. We can only do so much. So just some mitigation there about how to improve that. And it also helps for the cruise ships. The crew have never been here, right? They've never been to these locations, and now that they know, how far the marina is from the town and how far the marina is from the trailhead, and what like for instance, they weren't prepared for the big climb up out of the Terrace Bay Marina to get to the town. Even though you can tell them these things, they don't actually get it until they're there, right? So things should be a lot more streamlined next year. Land transportation, the same thing. It's hard to make that judgment if you only have 20 people coming off and you're renting a school bus that costs $1,800. They're just not going to utilize that, right? And then there's the availability of the school buses. We couldn't find vans because you can't rent a van anymore. I don't know. You can. It's either a car or an SUV. So it's there's a lot of challenges there for the land transportation, but we've got a few ideas on how to figure that out. We did have people asking that were here in Red Rock asking for rides like a taxi. They're not used to not having a taxi, right? They can just hire a taxi whenever they stop off at a marina, but we don't have that here. So that's something else we got to think about. We talked about having maybe like a charitable, like a nonprofit charitable, like Rotary Club, having a few volunteers here with cars that can go to, Nipigon, or go to like into the village. It sounds so quaint, into the town of Red Rock, and just drive around for those that can't walk. So we're sort of figuring that out for next year as well. We don't really have people that are businesses that are insured that could be hired to do that kind of thing. So we're trying to figure out the legalities of that. Community engagement. So yeah, we talked about, instead of just having like 2 drinks, that there can be a ticket system so that community members can come in and sit with them as well, the guests as well, and enjoy if there's alcohol being served, because of course you have to have that barrier. So anyways, we talked a lot about that. Talked a little bit about the drumming there. We tried to get like a welcoming thing going on, and Darkies, you were part of that, Mayor Robinson, but it's hard when they don't tell you how many people are coming off when. We weren't expecting that. We were thinking they were coming off in these groups, and it was a little bit hard to plan, but we have some plans for next year on that. The staffing was a bit of a challenge here for the building, because your students are gone by September. So that's something that has to be ironed out a bit. Some of our recommendations and other things we had. I think you guys are talking about doing a pamphlet, like a map brochure or something for the town. That would be really helpful to have next year for people that are doing just self-guided tours. More garbage cans just outside, even if it's just for that visit, just portable garbage cans. We just found that people were looking for garbage cans a lot. We did some digital, like digital ads. That's a fancy name for video and photography. So we did hire a professional to do some photos, and we did include them, a sampling of them in the report. So they did a really good job with that. Some great photos. And if there's any photos that that you guys need for your website or for anything that you're doing, we'll be happy to share those as well. And we'll be sharing them with the cruise ships and putting them into our promotional pamphlets too. So speaking of continued promotion, we're hoping this year to have that next familiarization tour. We were supposed to do one last year, but only 2 cruise ships signed on, or cruise lines. So we have to have a minimum of 4, a maximum of 6. So we're working on that now to try and get 4 in probably July of 2025 to get some different cruise lines coming in, and planning on coming out to the North Shore again. Yeah, just a little more detail on that. I don't have to get into. So we did have, as I said, we had quite a bit of growth happen from 2023 to 2024, and we're hoping to continue that growth. So we have some goals for next season. We're obviously going to undertake, hopefully, the familiarization tour, increase cruise visits to the area, increase the number of unique visitors who disembark in our region, We're trying to get people to, the guests to go to additional communities, even if it's not by boat, even if, like I said, it's by bus or automobile, to sort of help spread that economic impact around. We're going to update our brochures with our new photos. We're also in the process of producing a 5-minute video. It's basically a promotional video for locals to sort of get them excited. Even though I don't know if it's possible to be more excited than they were when they came here, but just to have people understand the process and the work that's involved, and just so that we continue to have support and a welcoming atmosphere in all of our communities. And then we'll continue to work with our partners, our community partners, as well as Visit Thunder Bay and Algoma Country to promote the region. Algoma Country has heard what we're up to down here, and they're working on a cruise readiness plan themselves. And again, it's not just us as a region, it's also like the whole lake, right? So the more that we can offer and the whole lake, the more chances that we'll have more cruise ships coming, and things will be fresh, and they'll just continue to come. So that concludes our report. So I can take questions if anyone has any questions.
Are there any questions or comments? I'd just like to, Councillor Brand, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the one thing that I had heard that people thought might have been beneficial for what would be to have some like wild game available, some partridge, some moose meat, something. Not necessarily to sell, because you can't necessarily sell it, but even just for the visitors to sample.
To try.
And Bannock burgers or something like that. So that was one thing that was brought up to me, but other than that, everything was quite lovely.
Awesome. Yeah, well taken. So we did have some blueberries, like some fresh blueberries that were left over from ones that I picked. There wasn't enough to like spread around, but I did bring some to like Rossport for the small amount of hikers that we had there, and they were able to sample. That was really popular. So that's something I think that we'll think of for next year. Like you said, just even having it as part of the cost for them coming here is just to like hand out like small little tester cups of blueberries or something like that, right? They just really eat up, no pun intended, eat up that local stuff. So they really enjoyed the barbecue. They loved meeting like Wolf River Farms folks that were here cooking everything up, and they really enjoyed that a lot too. So.
Great. Well, thanks for the report. I think I like that you have the challenges and mitigations on here, and what we can do to improve, because it's the first time in quite a long time. We can always improve. I think that's a lot of things that we can just handle anyways. Great idea with having, wild game. That's obviously something that's the cornerstone of Northern Ontario. So I think that's probably something that they'd be interested to. And yeah, looking forward to 2025. So I hope we get some more cruise ships in.
Yeah, and we already have the 3 or more visits than 3, but visits booked from Viking. They're famous for booking way ahead of time. The other ones are a little bit more, not last minute, but probably in the new year. So we're already getting the visits for 2025. Nothing confirmed for Red Rock yet, but.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Safe drive home. Okay, the open session minutes of the regular meeting, October 22nd, are at items 5.1 in the agenda. Are there any errors or omissions to note in the minutes? Seeing none, can I have a mover and seconder for motion to approve the minutes? Councillor Muir? Councillor No? Oops, 2 Ts. All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, we have a resolution from the Township of Petawawa relating to Ontario Provincial Police costs for 2025. Do any members of council have any remarks on the item? Councillor Muir?
Yeah, definitely support this. I think the province does need to kick in a little bit more.
Okay, is there a mover and seconder for a motion to approve the support of correspondence from the Township of Petawawa regarding Ontario provincial police costs for 2025. Councillor Brand, Councillor Muir, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, 6.2, information purposes only regarding a letter to Justin Trudeau from NOMA. Do members of council have any remarks on this? Okay, next item, 6.3, information purposes only regarding a letter to, is it the same one? No, CDC. Just make it sure. To the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau from the Thunder Bay CEDC. Do members of council have any remarks on that? Okay, next item, 6.4, information purposes only relating to 2 new physicians to the Nipigon District Memorial Hospital. Do any members of council have any remarks on that? I didn't want to mention that, but Councillor Muir.
Definitely good news having somebody move here, a couple doctors. This is fantastic for the communities around here. It really is.
Yes, great news for our area and also the doctors that live here. They have now some support. Okay, item 6.5, information purposes only regarding the minutes from the Top of Lake Superior Chamber of Commerce meeting, October 22nd. Do any members of council have any remarks? Seeing none. 6.6, information purposes only regarding a resolution from NOMA on the Forest Access Roads Funding Program. Do any members of council have any remarks? Seeing none. 6.7, information purposes only regarding the September 19th meeting minutes from Thunder Bay DSAB. Do any members of council have any remarks? Seeing none. 6.8, information purposes only regarding NOMA's new constitution bylaw. Do any members of council have any remarks on this? Yeah. Okay, 6.9, information purposes only regarding a news release from the municipality of South Bruce on willingness to host for the what is it? The deep ground reservoir.
It's a deep geological
DGR,
repository.
yeah.
So the
Yeah,
DGR.
okay. Do any members of council have any remarks on that? Councillor Muir?
So has there been any word now with regard to Ignace? Is this just going to automatically divert to Bruce now?
No, so from what I understand in the process and what how the process works is now you've got 2 willing communities. So the NWMO went through their process, their Learn More process for years. They got down to 2 communities. Again, it's the willingness of a community. So now you've got 2 willing communities, and the decision is still pending to be made by the NWMO prior to the end of year 2024. So we should have a location that's selected in that time frame.
Okay, item 6.9, information purposes only regarding a news release from the municipal. Oh, I did that one. Jeez. I didn't cross it off. 6.10, information purposes only regarding the 4th quarter OMPF funding allocation from the Ministry of Finance. Any comments on this? We know there's an increase, we just don't know how much.
Yeah, we do. There is an increase. It'll be coming next meeting. I believe we saw an increase for Red Rock. We of about $30,000. So we did get an increase. So our OMPF funding, I believe, goes from 637 to 664. And we'll have that document next meeting. But there was an increase, yes.
Thank you. Okay, 6.11, information purposes only regarding the 2025 annual billing statement package from the OPP. Do any members of council have any remarks? It's quite detailed. Okay, 6.12, information purposes only regarding the open house from Rock Tech Lithium that was held last Wednesday at the Red Rock Legion. Do any members of council have any remarks on this item? Councillor Muir?
Yeah, it was super informative. I'm hoping we can definitely have one, another open house or a town hall or whatever we can, just to get some of the questions on public record, just so we can have it so that they're in our municipal minutes. It was a fantastic presentation. There's a lot of fantastic questions. I think they cleared a lot of things up. This is an exciting project, but I definitely think that getting some of the questions on our public documentation, just so we have everything, just so it's us that organizes it in our meeting minutes or whatever. I'm just hoping we can maybe do something like that, work with Rock Tech, have them back and kind of do it, not all over, but do it all over.
Yeah, I can certainly reach out to them and have that request. I don't think that will be a problem. I think they'd gladly attend a council meeting and you're correct. That way it would be in our minutes and in that discussion. I can reach out to them and have that request for sure. For two things, right? Addressing council as well as they made it clear that this isn't their first visit, right? And they also made it clear that they're very, very early in a process. I mean, it was quite evident that there's no regulatory permits. We're very early in a process. They're in a stage where they're looking for funding. So certainly reach out and make those requests that they can come to council and then back to the community, which they did commit to that evening.
Okay, thank you. 6.13 is information purposes only regarding a notice of a late hearing from Enbridge Gas, or rate hearing, sorry, from Enbridge Gas. Do any members of remarks on this? They're always increasing rates.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next item is 8.1. Report on administrative activities. Okay, so is there anything you'd like to speak to, Mark, or just go over?
No, just a kind of a general summary. There is a few things to speak to and kind of update council on. I think if we looked at the summary of activities, we could see that we just discussed the Rock Tech Lithium open house. It was very well attended. We put every chair in the Legion out that evening. I think that estimates to maybe 150 people by the talk with the Legion about how many chairs they have, and then some standing room only. So I think that was very well attended. I mean, again, we're continuing with our process, within the township and maintaining the financial processes that we have. So we had our auditors in Red Rock all week last week, so they're performing the interim for 2024. So again, moving very nicely in those processes. So that went well. If we get to the direction, discussion, and updates, there's again Roma annual conference, whether delegations are now being requested. So we look at a process for that. I know we've been reached out to by numerous ministries to at least have those discussions. We've had some offline as well without being there. So I think that's an opportunity for us to have discussions both based around industrial development in Red Rock as well as infrastructure around our bridge. So and if councillors are interested, we can speak to myself or Whitney about attending, but I certainly will attend. I think it's important to be there, especially with the discussions and what we have going on with both infrastructure and the bridge. That's where I'd like to focus on as discussions, basically that, and move from there. Might be beneficial to also reach out and touch up with the Ministry of Transportation just on an update for our 2025 highway improvement, as well as Ministry of Health based on the fact that, you know, we still face a situation that isn't ideal with EMS, right? We know that's really not the right ministry to, or the appropriate ministry, because that is handled through the city of Thunder Bay, but ultimately the Ministry of Health has, you know, a role in that as well. So those are kind of the areas that I think are still showing significance that we could speak to the ministers on. Quad Council meeting, again, it's scheduled and November 21st. Just that last request from any member of council. I know Mayor Robinson, Councillor Brand and myself will be attending, but any member of council that wants to put a suggestion for those discussions, certainly get that to us and we can forward it on to the clerk treasurer for the Township of Dorian, who's hosting that event. The third one down is just a discussion I wanted to bring to council's to the council table for thought. It's we have had a couple of requests in the last little bit, all from the same person, but more on a potable water station. You will see them in the larger areas. I mean, the city of Thunder Bay has a couple as you're leaving town. One's on I believe out near the tournament center. One is right off of John Street or yeah, I guess John Street Road. What you see in that case is a station. I don't know if it would be as significant as that, but a station for somebody to fill up potable water within the township of Red Rock. Again, I bring it because that was a request, and it's a request that I get in numerous times. But the suggestion is that we do not do that. There's many reasons to not do it, based on the fact that our residents pay for water. So you know, I mean, you get the water service to your home. There's also testing required with that. There's also these are a pay for service kind of system that you'd see in a lot of the bigger communities. So I mean, I just wanted council's thoughts on that, but right now it's nothing we're looking at, but I know it's been a topic that somebody wants to discuss. So.
Councillor Smith.
Isn't there a potable water thing right over the marina over here?
Seasonal, sorry, yes, I should have. So it's not an issue in the summer months. Because there is one there, but it's also not really designed for that use. It's not designed for somebody that may say, hey, I don't want to put water into my home, for example, which is, but I'll just grab potable water. It's more for the marina usage, right? So, but there is, yeah, this request is going beyond more into the winter months, right? And again, the recommendation from administration is that we don't do anything like this, but I know it's probably coming to you, so I wanted to bring that up for your discussion. Budget schedule, just to kind of go through kind of our thoughts around the budget for 2025 with council. Our goal is to have budget passed by April this year of 2025. So we've set a pretty good schedule, I think. You know, we're using November 29th as an internal submissions due from department budgets. So the department heads have them in at that time. We'll use the week of December 16th for internal meetings to discuss those budgets. January 13th week, maybe, and February 17th week, some kind of a process for community engagement. We have tried surveys in the past, some success, some not. What we're thinking this year is, a lot of communities are going to this, is what we call a community engagement session, where the management, so we'd provide a day where we were available to the public and we could get input that way. And then quite possibly an engagement session to bring the report back to council and go from there, so that the community is involved in the budget and we don't necessarily get what we seem to get in a survey. We just find the opportunity to have information that has nothing to do with the budget surfaces. So we think, and a lot of communities are going this road, it's just in-person engagement, and you have a day, and we would start with staff, and then we could bring that to council. And if we wanted to go further on that, then it could be an opportunity where the community or members of the community could apply for a delegation or 5-minute max delegation even to council. And then so those would be February, March. We haven't decided fully on how, but that would be our thoughts on engagement. And then the passing of the municipal budget through to council in April. That's our goal.
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, I like that idea to have the delegations here to listen to people. I like that idea. If we could set something up for that. Special meeting or two. I'd love to sit and listen to what people have to say for sure. Having them come in and yeah, that's the best way. I like that.
Yeah, and like I said, we think we'll get more of a reaction or a positive reaction. But we don't always want positive. But we also don't want the stuff we're getting in a survey that is anonymous. Say for example, I mean you can't really learn from anonymous. I mean, but we have no trouble taking those questions and getting them that input. But we feel this might be a better route. I'm going to skip the next one and I'll come back to that at the end. So I know Councillor Knoll wants to speak to that. Children's Mental Health Barbecue, we were reached out to by Flying Post First Nation. Just looking for some council involvement. If anybody's interested in that, let us know. They meet, they host an event in the summer. They're just looking to engage members of council. I can get all that information. Looks like the event date is May 8th, 2025. The next meeting is November 19th at 9 a.m. So if anybody has an interest in from council in maybe providing input or sitting on a committee or just let Whitney know and we can make those arrangements. And if you need further dates, just let us know and we can put that in. But that's the surplus advertisement process around the fire van. So we did have bids, two. Our thought is we do not sell the truck based on those bids. I've priced out parting the truck out. The tires alone are relatively new. There's probably a $3,000 value on the tires alone. We had a high bid of $500. We're also looking at the option of turning it into a storage shed, right? So we may need to reinforce the roof with a bit of tin, but it's we can take that off, use it as a storage shed, and piece out the rest of the thing. So recommendation is to not sell that vehicle based on that process. It just doesn't make a lot of logical sense for us to do that at this time. Rock Tech Lithium, there's a letter of support that they're requesting. Again, they're requesting the Township of Red Rock to provide through council a letter of support based on their ability to apply for funding with Invest Ontario. So what they're asking the Township of Red Rock is to support their application based on the economic benefit for the community and their application. Of course, again, it's early in the process, and any environmental, any of those, those the testing, all that's the funding piece is first, and that's what they're asking for, and they're just asking for a letter of support from council to go to Invest Ontario to hopefully have potential funding to look further at the process.
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, based on because it's a funding request, again, it's something that they need our support to get it. I'm definitely in favor of giving them the support to apply for the funding. As we've already mentioned, it's early in the process. All this is a letter for saying we support their application for funding. So I'm in favor of supporting this for sure.
Are there any other comments on? Not.
Okay, then we can we'll get that letter out. Joint council meeting, this is something that came recently in my discussions with the CAO with the Township of Nipigon. He is going to be bringing it to his council tomorrow night. It's kind of a very good situation I think we're in right now. The Township CAO in Nipigon and myself, we meet quite regularly. We're obviously not doing anything that council isn't aware of, but it's great to have somebody in a neighboring community. Again, in the CAO chair, we're looking at and discussing many different options that we would bring to council. His previous municipality was a small cluster of 4 communities in the Sault Ste. Marie area. My history, we had this type of meeting occasionally, often, twice a year with 2 municipalities, Scarborough and Terrace Bay. We're not looking to say we don't want the quad council meeting by any means. It's two different meetings, but the suggestion from Mr. Moffat, and I agree with him, is the 2 communities of Nipigon and Red Rock are the most, they're the closely, the 2 communities closest, and the 2 communities that follow the municipal structure probably the most as comparable communities. So what we're looking at is council's approval of setting this up, that maybe we meet twice a year, once in Red Rock, once in Nipigon, and similar to a quad council process, we meet with the Township of Nipigon and discuss issues that we may be able to work better on. There's multiple examples. I mean, I don't think anybody is suggesting that a community loses their identity in any of this. That's not what it's about, but there's shared services around many different ways to save money. And so if council was in approval of that, and I guess Nipigon is in approval in their council level tomorrow, we would start to plan this, and eventually it would be something we'd have to bring into our procedural bylaw, but I think it's a really good idea.
Councillor Muir.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad for the information, Mark. Thanks. I wouldn't mind trying one meeting to see how it goes. Just to see kind of how it goes. Yeah, definitely. One of my biggest fears has always been amalgamation. I mean, Southern Ontario, they've amalgamated almost everywhere. Shared services are very important though, like they're mandatory. So I mean, as long as we're discussing and like having discussion on sharing services, and like you said, keeping our township's identity, then I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, the words amalgamation have never been discussed. I mean, it is more about shared services, and I guess if you look at it from the system that happens everywhere else in the province, other than Northern Ontario, where we're single tier communities, you see a lot of this in the South when you've got upper and lower tier communities, right? So there's so many synergies that you can share, and there's so many examples, but I mean, it is about your identity, and everybody understands that. So we're not having any discussions. I mean, I wouldn't have those discussions without the direction of council. So it's definitely shared services. It's definitely, I think, just getting the 2 communities together and trying it out. So I think it's a good, maybe it is a good idea to try it and have a meeting and see where we go.
Councillor Nault.
Yeah, I'm very supportive of that. As I've mentioned in the past, I think I think we're going to notice as dollars become more scarce. I think the expectation is certainly on communities to be working together. And so I'm super supportive of that for sure.
Councillor Smith.
Would this be, unlike quad council, would be a full council? So it'd be we're in quorum and all that fun jazz?
Yeah, these would be full council meetings. And like I said, in my experience, I can use the experience I have, and Lars, the CAO, and Nipigon the same. They have full minutes. They're full council meetings. One hosted, if you did 2 a year, one hosted in Red Rock, where Mayor Robinson would proceed. We would be the clerk, myself and Whitney would run that meeting from this level. Mayor Robinson would run the meeting as the chair, and then it would switch into Nipigon, right? So we'd have topics of discussion similar to we do here, and that's how the structure would run. We do have template structures that we would bring to council for procedural.
I think it's a great idea. We've been using shared services with Nipping for a long time, with garbage truck and other things. So I think maybe just having a more formal setting, it's only twice a year. And it just would make our relationship better and knowing that both communities are on board. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's a prime example. You're absolutely correct when you look at garbage, right? So for the last, I'm going to say almost 3 months, 2 for sure, Nipigon has been utilizing our garbage truck. Theirs is down. It's getting, so we have that agreement with them. So there's a really good example of shared services right there. You know, and we could be in that exact same boat where our garbage truck goes down. We're seeing local repairs on the larger equipment. You know, people are getting out of that in the Nipigon Red Rock area. So lots of times now you might have to ship your larger, bigger equipment. So a garbage truck, for example. So yeah, they've been using our garbage truck now twice a week for almost 2 months. But there was a time where even in my time here where we've used their garbage truck. So so yeah, okay, I'll bring that back to them. The last one before we get to Councillor Null and handing the floor over to him is just an update on the memorial banners. And Ashley wanted me to provide this update. There's 20 this year, and they're actually being installed. If they're not all installed already, they were supposed to be starting today, but I believe they jumped ahead and might even be installed as of last week, or they're in the process of being installed now. So she wanted me to bring that because she obviously doesn't attend at this meeting. So, and on that note, I think that's a great program. On that note, I will ask Councillor Null to speak to the proposal or the thought that he wanted to bring to council this evening as well.
Thanks, Mark. So I moved to Red Rock last September, and I've noticed in this past 12 months the amount of time, effort, and money that's been put into the rec center and to developing, you know, that into a place that people want to go to. And so just one of the ideas that I thought might be worth mentioning was looking at the viability of putting a bouldering wall somewhere in the rec center. It would be an additional way that would draw people into the rec center, including our youth. It would be something that's a modern, a little bit more hip, as they say. It's something that you know, has been tried, tested, and true in many different places, including schools and things like that. I think that there'd be an opportunity there to explore putting something in there that wouldn't come at very much of a cost. And I guess I'm looking for, I guess, some buy-in from council here to look into this and explore this a little bit further and come back with something in the way of a proposal.
Councillor Smith?
Having kids, I do like the concept and the idea. However, for me, I just think of the cost to not just to install it, which may not be a lot, but for liability sakes, we'd have to have people to watch it and man it, and then the insurance and everything else of those things that come with it. So those are the things that I'd be kind of more worried about, rather than, because people can just rent the gym and go, right? And if it's in the gym and people just rent and go, we know how kids are. I know how my kids are. Just worried.
No, thanks for that comment.
And maybe excellent point, Mark. I did want to differentiate this as it is a bouldering wall versus a climbing wall. So rather than looking at something that would be going vertical, this will be more of a horizontal. So it wouldn't be something that would involve very much in the way of height. It would be more about going across. So you'd be looking at like being a couple feet off of the ground. So in terms of liability and safety, Certainly, I completely understand something we need to look in further, but I think there's things that they do in terms of safety mats and that we would be able to look at or explore to hopefully mitigate those kinds of concerns.
Yeah, and I think exactly with the direction of council, that's where we would look further. And we've already taken a few steps. We had a couple of just just initial thoughts and concerns. One being that we had a wall secure enough to do that in the building because a lot of the walls are that material that it's really not conducive to putting something in, and it just makes a big hole. There is some cement walls, but if we looked at the gym, we're also looking and spoke initially to insurance on exactly those things, the liability. They gave us a detailed kind of generic summary of like you said, monitoring, training for your staff, et cetera. There's so it's something we'd want to look further into, and that's kind of where we are in the process. If council wants administration to look further at this, then we will.
Councillor Brand.
I like the idea. I wondered, off the gym room, I can't remember what we called it growing up, but that little side room. Would that wall that is shared with the gym be a high enough wall and a stable enough wall? And then my other thought was, if we couldn't do this inside, would this wall be able to be secured to, say, the tennis court fencing, and then it's outside and then there's the ground?
Probably in terms of usually the bouldering walls that I've seen and researched and that tend to be inside, just in terms of the holds and the materials that you're using. So I didn't even really think about that.
Yeah, Councillor Muir.
Yeah, I like the idea of this. Definitely, it's something, added value for the rentals, because we do have quite a few birthday parties there. So I mean, this against one of the walls would be perfect. More than likely, you're gonna have to have mats on there regardless of the height. I think anything over 18 inches, you're probably gonna need mats. There is legislations for that, but again, they are promoting, I don't know, it's not called dangerous play, but they're definitely promoting kids nowadays to kind of live a little more dangerous, do a little more stuff. I think they're realizing now it's important for them to be able to do this, to climb on something and then feel that little adrenaline. So I support this 100%. This will, though, specifically, Denis, this would be an age group. Like, would there be weight limit on there?
We'd have to once again look to see what, I guess, the load bearing, what the wall could bear and that sort of thing. Hopefully, I mean, if we were able to find something that would be viable, there would be ways to design the wall in such a way so that it would appeal to not only smaller children but also our youth, which I think would ideally, the more people that could be exposed to it, probably, I guess, the better.
Is this something adults could use though? Like like the top level there, like if you get
I mean, you could, but I think it would likely appeal more to the
kids.
I think it's a great idea. I think it
Well,
would bring more people. For one thing, we're investing in the rec center. Let's try to.
yeah, we'll continue to look at it and I mean, look at all aspects of it. I mean, obviously, enhancement to your recreation facility, but also the liability that may and I did receive some information, and I mean, mats would be an essential one for sure. Like you said, I mean, training for your staff, waivers, right? The risk of the liability is always something we have to look at. So but we can do that and look further into that based on council's direction. That's not a problem. And that's it, I think, for my report. Unless there's any further questions, again, reach out anytime. And if there's anything that you want, answer it or whatever, you always know how to get a hold of me.
Thank you. Okay, is there a mover and seconder for motion to receive the report? Counselor Smith, Counselor Muir, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next item, report on council vacancy policy. We've all had time to review it. We had discussions last meeting. Is there any other additional comments anybody wants to make before we go through motion? No, okay. Is there a mover and seconder for motion to approve the council vacancy policy for the Township of Red Rock? Counselor Muir, Counselor Smith, all in favor? Against? Motion's carried. Okay, next item 9.1 is a bylaw to appoint a deputy treasurer, deputy clerk. Do we need an explanation on? or what
I can
the
certainly
purpose-
provide
okay.
one. So what this bylaw does is it repeals the original bylaw where Samantha Cameron was designated as the deputy clerk. So in that role, she is the signing authority for the municipality based on a clerk basis. This bylaw would see Samantha Cameron be into a further role with the deputy clerk, deputy treasurer. It provides me and the township that ability to have Samantha be able to sign off in my absence. For example, I'm in Jamaica for a week, for example. In my 3.5 years, Samantha's more than proven herself in the role. It's just the next step, and it has to happen by bylaw, and it's just good management of your community. It takes some of that stress off all of us, and it enables Samantha to have that authority if I'm not available, and sometimes that does come up, and I think again it's proper management, it's proper management of an organization, and it's what's recommended to council.
So I'm in favor of this, obviously. If something were to happen to you or something happens, if we don't have something in place, then we have to have a special meeting and appoint that person in that position to do it anyways.
Correct.
So it's just mitigating that step. We should have somebody as backup anyways,
Correct.
right, in that role. Any other questions or comments? Okay, is there a mover and seconder for motion to pass the bylaw? Counselor Muir, Counselor No, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, unfinished business. Still, it's unfinished.
Yes.
Just, we'll keep it on the books for now. Okay, that's it. I don't see anything else on there. I'm not missing anything. Okay, next item on the agenda is the bylaw to confirm proceedings at council. May I have a mover and seconder for motion to pass the bylaw? Counselor Brand, Counselor Muir, all in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next meeting will be held Monday, November 18th, time being 8:11. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Cam.